I'll talk on the loan side of things. I'll have Jason talk on the real estate side of things. So if you look at the mortgage industry back then versus now, back then, lower credit score requirements, no income documentation requirements. Call your buddy who's an appraiser and say, I need this value on this house to make this deal work, and magically the appraisal comes back at that value, right? So loose lending guidelines back then, to be honest with you, I think was the major cause of that. Way too many people were getting loans to buy homes where they shouldn't have been getting loans. You fast forward to today. So all the regulations there's no stated income loan. So stated income loan was a loan that you didn't have to prove your income. You basically just tell us what you make. We put that on the application, and that's what we're going to use.
There's basically no underwriting. The underwriting was you write your name on a sheet and say, I can afford this house. And then the bank would go, awesome. Great, let's do it.
So here is literally a conversation I had a week and a half ago. So I'm doing a refinance for someone who was in the mortgage industry back then. And World Savings was one of the leaders in the stated income negative AM loan, negative amortization. Okay. Their program was if all you got to do to prove self-employment was have a business card. You have a business card that proves you have self-employment, and then you can go stated income. So you can just tell us what you make for income. Stated assets, you just tell us what you have in your bank account. We won't verify anything. We'll give you the loan, right? You got to meet minimum credit scores at that point, things like that. So anyway, this particular person is like, we literally in our office, we had a business card generator. So someone would come in.
Oh, my goodness.
Someone would come in and say, hey, we want to get a loan, this and that, blah, 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 and be like, you got this credit score, you got 5% down. Oh, World will give you a loan. So you're self-employed, and then you go to the machine, and it's like, oh, you have a landscaping company. Here's your business card. Jeez. Literally, that's what it was back in the day.
They probably weren't even handing that person the card. They were probably just sending it to the underwriter.
Right.
Yeah.
And so you have one extreme of like, it's just, right? We used to make a joke of it. If you could fog a mirror, you can get a loan.
Yep.
That's what it is. Today's world, everything is documented.
Yep.
2 years worth of tax returns, 2 years worth of W-2s. Call in to verify employment.
Yep.
We have to call within 5 days or 3 days of closing to re-verify employment.
Yep. And repull credit, don't you, before closing?
And then there's a credit refresh within 10 days of closing to make sure that you haven't opened up any accounts that you didn't tell us about, and run up your balances that dropped your credit score. All this type of stuff, right? So that's on the underwriting side of things. Plus, they also added in the appraisal deal, right? So no loan officer can call up an appraiser and say, hey, can you do this order for me? We don't get to talk to appraisers anymore. Right. There's a third party in the middle where we send our order in. That third party then farms that order out to a licensed appraiser in that zip code. We don't know which appraiser got it. We don't know what's going to happen with it until that appraisal comes back. Well, now the appraisal's already done. The value's already there, right? We can't go back and say, hey, we needed a higher value to make this work.
Right.
So you have appraisals that are highly regulated now, and you have the whole income thing where everything is triple documented as far as income goes.
And then there's a whole nother aspect, too, which was the mortgages that were being used back then were almost all adjustable rate, unaffordable rate hikes after a couple years, where people, even if they could afford those initial payments, started getting forced out of the houses. So you had this really high kind of phantom foreclosure rate.
Right.
Yeah.
Almost everything nowadays is fixed.
30-year fixed, yeah.
Almost the entire market is fixed.
Yeah. Negative amortization loans don't even exist anymore.
Yeah.
There is a great movie out there called The Big Short. and that
movie is
movie,
a great movie.
Is very accurate to why we had the housing bubble in the crisis in 07, 08. It's a great movie. It's a fictional movie, but it's actually very accurate to what historically happened. So I do not believe that we're in a housing bubble, and I do not believe that values are going to go down, specifically in the Twin Cities market. I believe that the rate of appreciation will be less and will slow, but I don't think values are going to go down. We've been talking about interest rates going up, and they have gone up a ton the first quarter of this year. And that's, so rates have gone up. I don't think values are going to go down.
I think, if we really get doom and gloom and say, oh, there's a recession on the horizon and stuff, absolutely, that's going to slow down the housing market. But the key indicators, like you were asking about, Chris, are pretty significantly different than 15, 20 years ago.
And the inventory is a big deal.
That's the other thing too.
I mean, it's a big. So after the crash happened in 07, 08, for the next 5 years, where builders and developers were typically building homes at the rate that they are now, they didn't build much. And so there was a 5-year period where there was 70% less homes being built for half a decade. That has also contributed to the low inventory right now, because there was a period of homes not being built. So, Chris, I don't think we're in a bubble. I think that, again, the rate of appreciation will be less this year than it was last year, but I also think the interest rates are going to continue to be a little bit higher than they were.